Welcome to the Monday Monologue. Well, I had so many different ideas about what I wanted to do for this week's video, I couldn't really decide what to do. And so we maybe kind of jump around a little bit today. One of the things I want to talk about is the rabbit hole I've gone down with my turntable. And as you can see, we got 4 different phono cartridges. We've got the Denon DL301 Mark II. We've got the AT-OC9 XML. Trying to not trip up on these names. Then we've got the 540 or the VM540ML, which is a microline moving magnet cartridge. And then we got the little AT95 that came with my Technics 100C that we upgraded to the nude elliptical stylus, which was a huge upgrade. And that helped me really understand how important the stylus is to what a cartridge sounds like, because exact same cartridge, just pulled out the cheap little conical, bonded thing that it comes with, a little $20 needle, and put this $100 one in it, and it transformed the way that cartridge sounds. So anyway, so we've been listening to all this stuff, been playing with the different alignments, and there's like the bare walled, which is a variation from the stock Techniques alignment, and they do sound different. So the other thing we got into was step-up transformers being used with these moving coil ones, because my EAR 834 clone is a moving magnet only. I started out with this one from Ned Clayton on eBay. I'll put a link to his store below. I don't even know the guy, but he makes really nice little boxes. So this one came pre-wired with some Cinemag. Which ones are these? These are the 3440AH Cinemag transformers, which I don't know a whole lot about them, but you can see, probably can't. It's got different settings here. You can go 1 to 9, 1 to 12, 1 to 18, and 1 to 36 on the turns ratios with just flipping some switches on it, which was helpful for me to figure out what turns ratios work good with the cartridges I have. So then I just recently got this one, which has 9-pin tube sockets, and I've got these RCAs. Let's see what these things are. They're MI12399, and it's got a high-low setting, and they sound better on low to me with both of my cartridges. And what I found was this eliminated some bass distortion that I was hearing when I was using these step-up transformers. And honestly, it's some distortion difference between this moving magnet and the moving coil. I noticed that more so than what people try to claim moving coils are about, that it allows, higher frequency response kind of a thing. What I'm hearing with the right step-up transformer is that I've got less overall audible distortion, especially in the lower registries. And all that leads into a story I wanted to share with you today. I've got a customer that lives about an hour from me, which is, I'm willing to drive that far, especially he's super nice. Him and his wife are super nice. Anyway, so went out there to demo some gear for him, and he heard my EAR 834 clone versus what he was using, this little shit Manny, which obviously is a lot less expensive little box. He was like, yeah, that's a huge improvement. I want that. So then we talked about tube amps. He had a nice Marantz receiver. We swapped out my EL34 amp, and it wasn't near as huge a change from the Marantz receiver, which is a, known good one. It's one of the vintage ones that's, highly rated. So that didn't shock me. But it did seem more kind of layered and had some warmth, which, of course, you would expect from a tube amp. So later he decided he wanted to get that. Then he emailed me back and was like, I feel like when I'm listening to rock music, I mostly listen to jazz, and with jazz, this tube amp sounds awesome, but I'm noticing that there's a little bit of bass lacking. And so we talked about it, Oh, and the other thing was when we first set all this up with a tube amp, it seemed a little bright, and he had an Ortofon bronze that had some age on it, and I had the little Nagamuchi, I don't know, I always pronounce that wrong. Here's the one we swapped in. Anyway, that kind of tamed down the top end. To me, on my system, with my speakers in the room and stuff, it seemed a little flat. I like this AT540ML, which I was using at the time, better. So I was happy to sell him that cartridge. Gave him a good deal on it because it was a used cartridge. Anyway, so he went on his merry way, and he was happy about that. So then he started dipping into tube rolling, and he asked for some recommendations. And I said, get some JJ 60A7s and some KT77s. They're cheap tubes. Just roll them in, see what you think. And then he liked the sound of this 540ML, and he did some research, and he decided to get the 740ML, which I've never heard. And I'm looking forward to next weekend going out visiting and potentially hearing this, or maybe it's 2 weeks from now. Anyway, that fixed all his issues, and he was like super excited with the point that he had got his system to. So the point of the story, though, is he reported that now that he's got his system like all moved in this better direction, he's starting to hear what I was talking about in my video the other day, that a lot of the vinyl he's got is mastered so bad that he can't enjoy listening to it, because now he knows what good mastering sounds like on some of the other vinyl. And I think the moral of the story is once you start hearing the source material differences and being able to single out like the mastering of this versus the mastering of that and all of that kind of stuff, you got your system in a good space. And unfortunately, it does make it where you end up being pickier about the kind of music that you enjoy, at least critically listening to, because if it's not recorded well, it's not going to teleport you into that experience like a good recording will. And it's back to what I keep talking about, virtual audio reality, or audio VR, that when it's really all right, you can close your eyes and you feel like you're in the room. And a bad recording is not going to do that. So I am going to link below too. And 100%, this is an hour well spent. Go watch this video. Here's the channel. Going to put a link below to his channel and the video. This guy does an interview with Kevin Gray from Coherent Audio. And if you ever had questions about the whole half-speed mastering and what 45 versus 33 is, and the limitations of vinyl versus digital, and the limitations of digital versus vinyl, go listen to this guy. Don't go read on internet forums about how great this is or how bad this is. This is a guy that's like done this his whole life, and he's a real professional, and he just tells it like it is. It's a great video. And so, yeah, go watch this. I haven't watched any other videos on that guy's channel. I'm probably going to check out some more of it, because he put that interview together. He's probably got some other good stuff about analog audio. So anyway, we've got the Musical Paradise, what is this thing? The MP301 Mark III. And the guy sent me about a half a dozen different driver tubes. I need to read up on this amp. I think it uses EL34 type output tubes like I use in my amps. I got a ton of those to try. And I want to play around with this, put it on the Audio Analyzer Suite. I know I keep talking about I've got an R300 Plus sitting upstairs in a box. I need to get that thing out. But at the same time, I've got production amps that people have ordered and they're waiting on, that I have to stay up on that. I need to keep the YouTube channel content going, and I've kind of focused on that this week to kind of feed that beast. And I've got that 6C33 build that I'm doing, the Monster single-ended triode amp. Need to get back working on that. Got phono stages to build. You see the chassis sitting back here. Just out of camera view, there's a bunch of chassis for the EL34 amps. And so, yeah, I'm just super busy. And then on top of all that, poor Dolly's sick. She got some kind of urinary tract infection or something, and that area down there got all irritated and swollen, and she's on antibiotics and pain meds, and she's been just sleeping, and I've been trying to keep her from messing with it, and she was dragging her butt on the ground and got it all raw, and just, yeah. Anyway, they finally figured out what's going on and got her on some meds, and I think she's on the mend. You can see she's sleeping comfortably up there now, but I've been having to keep an eye on her too, so that's kind of been going on, and yeah, just busy. So anyway, the last thing I want to touch on is for you folks that are interested in buying some gear, I'm probably going to have to change how this ordering process works because I've run into some problems being too trusting. And I didn't feel comfortable taking deposits on gear or builds when I first announced this because I was still waiting on output transformers and I didn't know what the lead time on this stuff was going to be, and I didn't want to promise people, yeah, you'll have your amp in 2 months or 6 to 8 weeks or whatever, and it might be 6 to 8 weeks before you even get the transformers. So I took quite a few orders from folks just on faith that they actually wanted them, and I've had 2 so far that I got as far as actually building the amp exactly the way they spec'd it. And one guy was nice enough to just say, hey, I had some tax issues or something came up, I can't buy it right now. And it was actually a build that I wanted for myself. It had ISO transformers and that, this upgrade stuff, and I wanted to do one for myself. So I took my original one that had the egg core iron and freshened it all up and sold it to a customer. So that wasn't a big deal. But this last one's really kind of changed my mind about how I'm going to do this. This guy it was about a week before I was starting on his build. I told him I was getting ready to do his build, and he hadn't put anything down on it. I was like being trusting skunky, and he said, yeah, I want silver trim rings, I want a volume control, I want the RCA jacks on the back, can you verify all that? Verified it, sent him some pictures when I was going along to the bill, and then, yeah, that all looks great. And then, like a week later, it's like, your amp's done, here's your invoice, and he ghosted me. And he's not replying to any emails, it just like, really? You're going to specify your exact build that you want with the trim color and all this stuff, the transformer colors and everything, and then when you get the bill, you're just going to disappear. And so I can't do that because I don't have anybody else in the queue that's looking for this specific thing. Everybody else is looking for gold trim that I have left in the queue. And so I'm going to have to disassemble this amp. I'm going to have to solder in different speaker jacks and RCA jacks and do all that stuff to make it where somebody else will buy it. And I'm just you can see how busy I am. I don't have time to be wasting or have people waste my time like that, acting like they want something, but then when the bill comes, they just ghost me. And I used to own a car repair shop years ago, and I'd forgotten what dealing with the general public can be like, and so I'm probably going to have to do a lot more strict ordering standards, where something like you put a 25% deposit down, and then when I get started on your amp, that's when the deposit goes to 50% and it's non-refundable. And then once the amp's done, you get the invoice for the final part, and you pay for it, and I ship it to you. Because I can't, or else I just have to not customize these things at all, and they're all like silver with a volume control and RCA jacks on the back, and nobody gets a custom build. And then if somebody doesn't want it, I can just go, nope, okay, you're off the queue, get the next person. And I can just ship it out to the next person without having to do a bunch of extra work. But I don't really want to do that, because I think one of the cool things is you can say, hey, I just want it as a power amp with no volume control. Or I want a switch with 2 inputs, and I want them on the side, or one in the side, one in the back. And like I did a really custom one for a guy where the jacks in the back bypass the volume control, so it's like a power amp, but then the jacks in the side or go through the volume control, so he can use it more like an integrated amp on those inputs. And I want to be able to do that, but I can't do that if I'm going to have people specify some thing that they want, and then at the end of it, they just go silent. Now, I'm going to give this guy another week, because I know things happen. Sometimes people get a car wreck, or they get sick, or, their kids die, or something happens that, is a distraction. But I just can't believe that after 2 weeks that it's not intentional. So, anyway, just kind of an update on that, and kind of an update to you folks that are in the queue. Don't be shocked if I email you when I get near your build. If I email you and say, hey, it's time to put a deposit on this thing for me to get started on it. And then if they don't want to put a deposit on it, I'll just take them out of the queue, because I can't be building stuff. Now, these phono stages are a little different, because there's only 2 variants. There's silver and gold, and people seem to kind of be 50-50 on those. And so, I'm probably just going to build those and, say, hey, it's your preamp's ready. And if you wanted to put, I may have to put a deposit even on those, a small one, just so I know people are serious, and I'm not buying parts that, I guess that's the other thing is, 2 or 3 of these people just never even responded back past the initial, I want to buy one of your amps. Yeah, that sounds great. Put me on your waiting list. And then they just disappear. And don't even reply back, I'm not even interested anymore. That just seems like common courtesy. Maybe common courtesy is gone. I don't know. Anyway, that's just kind of an update of what's going on in Skookie Land, and hope y'all are enjoying this content. I did do some videos about the new PS Vane tubes. I'm excited about that. Oh, and on that, that DIYaudio.com site just drives me crazy. So I go and make a post there saying, hey guys, here's a new line of tubes that are coming out, and here's some information about them. And they decide to move my post to some obscure part of the site, saying that we don't allow promotional posts on our site. So, I'm saying, here's some new tubes that are available, and I actually like these. That's somehow some kind of a promotion that they've got to delete. But then if somebody else talks about, hey, I bought some of these whatever tubes, and I really like the way these Gold Lion 300B tubes sound, that's perfectly fine. And it does feel like at some point that I've just been targeted, not only by some of the posters there, which that's clear. There's 3 or 4 of those guys that just rabidly attack anything that I post, that now it's even the site people, the people that run the site, are just deleting my posts and stuff. It's like, that's fine. I'm just about done with that site anyway. So Audio Karma is where I spend most of my time, and never had any issues there. The few jerks that have attacked me, the staff there has agreed that those were problematic posts, and the stereo.net site is another good one. But yeah, that DIYaudio.com, they just, I don't know, it just feels like a super hostile environment. And the people there are so oh, well, I computer simulated this, and so here, that's the fact. It's like, have you ever actually built the amp to know what it sounds like? Well, no, it's going to sound good because it shows that in the computer simulation. It's like, okay, whatever. So, anyway, just venting a little bit about that before I roll off here. And hope you're enjoying my content. If you are, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Thanks to all you supporters, all you subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, again, please subscribe. I know a ton of people are commenting, and I see the little flag, whether they're subscribed or not. About 80% of the people commenting weekly in my videos haven't hit the subscribe button. So it's like, come on, guys, throw me a bone here. Also, thanks to you folks that have sent me vinyl. Guys that have sent me donations, join my Patreon. Super appreciate that. That helps me go through and like, hey, I can buy these phono cartridges and these different step-up transformers, and I can go through these, find what works good together, and say, here, go buy this and this. And you don't need to buy any of this. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do on this channel, is to help you guys make good decisions. So, we will see you next week for the Monday Monologue.